Hello, hello. Let's see. I have to set a timer because I've got a lot to say and no time to say it, y'all. Just just look at all these notes. Just look. Look at this poor lineup. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's just layers upon layers upon layers. It has just been a joy. I have just enjoyed the study so much. Okay. So, we are going to, I think we're going to start, I think we're going to start over here with the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And if you're listening to this right now or watching this, wherever you're tuning in, podcast or YouTube or wherever, I'm going to go from Genesis, and I'm going to go into talking about the scriptures that talk about whether or not women should be speaking in public at a church. 1 Timothy 2:11 says that women should learn in silence. 1 Timothy 2:12, Paul says, I suffer not a woman to teach. And then this is insinuated again in, give me a minute, let me look. I know it's one of the, 1 Corinthians 14. 1 Corinthians 14. I'm very proud of myself for remembering that without notes. Holy moly. Okay. So let's look at this temptation and eating this tree. So in Genesis chapter 3, the serpent has already come and had a conversation with Eve. And I'm going to start with verse 6. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food is defined as edible for meat, and that it was pleasant to the eyes. Pleasant means wish, longings, or even lust. Desire, wish, longings, lust. Okay? And a tree to be desired means to covet, to take pleasure, to make one wise. To make one wise is the English word circumspect. So for those of you who aren't aware of what I'm doing, I am referencing a English book. This is the Bible in English. But this book was not written in English. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew for a shortened way of saying that. It was written in like the common language of Hebrew, which is, I don't know how to explain it. Like, instead of highbrow English, like thee and thou and mind your P's and Q's kinds of things, it was common man's, not English, but Hebrew. Anyway, I don't want to get hung up on that. But so when you are reading this, you can read it word for word, and it means exactly what it says. It means exactly what it says. But when you are living in a society and culture that has as many doctrines and denominations as we do today, it's good to study a little deeper. Oh man, I want to go in so many directions right now. I'm just trying to stay on the right trail here. And so the Old Testament would be Hebrew to English, and then the New Testament would be Greek to English. And this, of course, is happening from Hebrew to Spanish and Greek to Spanish, from Hebrew to Mandarin, Greek to Mandarin, right? This is happening in more than just our English language. This is happening all over the world in all of the languages. Someday I hope to tell you about a long flight, like 8 to 10 hour flight that I had sitting right by a Bible translator that worked for Tyndale Publishing. It was so fun. And so when you are translating, when you're going from one language to another, and I know this from the little bit of sign language that I know, the words are not exact, and the translator has to use their knowledge of the two languages, the one that they're translating out of this one and putting into this one. They've got to have a knowledge base of both, where they can figure out how to convey this information into this language. So for instance, today I posted a video of Madison signing to my granddaughter, Monica. Monica is 3 months old as of this recording. And Madison I know a little bit of sign, but I was really taught English Sign Language, whereas what's commonly used in translating in school, certainly in conversation, but also a lot of times from like in public speaking, so preaching and so forth, it's called American Sign Language. And so I know English Sign Language, and sometimes I can get what they're trying to say when they're signing American Sign Language, ASL. So today I'm watching him sign, and I thought he was saying at the end of this video to my 3-month-old, he's just for the sake of trying to get her to understand we're going to be a family that signs. He's just signing to her. And I thought he signed to her, you're not going to use your voice. Voices, no. Because all he did was you use these 2 fingers and you point at your voice, and this is the sign for no. And so what I understood from my ESL was that he pointed at his voice and said no. And because in conversations he has jokingly said she's not going to learn any other language but ASL. So I thought he was saying to her, we're not going to use our voices. We're only going to sign. That's what I thought he was saying to her. It took a while. I actually took some commenting back and forth on that post with people who know ASL for me to realize his whole signing thing had to do with this apple that I had when I was a baby myself, and it's a chime inside, and when it rocks back and forth, it chimes. And so I knew he was talking about the apple. He signed apple, and he talked about how it has a beautiful song. And so then I thought he said, we're not going to use our voices. But what he actually said was, the apple does not have a voice, but it still makes a beautiful sound. He asked, how is that? How is that? Well, that's what I'm trying to explain and describe when I talk about going from one language to another. Whoever is translating has the prerogative. We have to trust them that their knowledge of the language is connecting. And I have always found the knowledge of the King James Version to be 100% accurate. In fact, if I ever came across something that I questioned, I just give it some time. I just wait a little, study a little, ask a few questions. In the multitude of counsel, there is safety. And I just wait a little, and pretty soon my little piddly brain starts finally, all the puzzle pieces start coming together, and I start understanding, oh, yeah, it truly is 100% totally just, exactly what it says. There is no misunderstanding. There's not another doctrine being taught than what is there. So anyway, when I go and look up these other words, I'm not doing it to try to disprove scripture. I'm doing so to show you the various English words that also could have been used. When I am doing the kind of study that I am doing, I am merely reiterating by using more of the English language than the writer, the translator used. I'm just showing you more synonyms. Synonyms is the correct word for that. So when she saw that the tree was pleasant to the eyes, she saw that it was her longing. She lusted for it. It was her desire. And that's very important. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. So it was pleasant to the eyes, a tree to be desired. This to the eyes is not only talking about the physical eye. This is really cool. It's also talking about showing mental qualities. When she had a wish, a longing, and a desire to increase her mental qualities. There's nothing wrong with that. And we know that the Lord loves to educate us. But there is a lesson to learn in this that I'm hoping to be able to point out before I have to leave here. I've got choir practice. So it was pleasant to the eyes. It was pleasant to her mental and physical faculties. It was pleasant to her mental qualities. And it was to be desired. It was coveted because you could take pleasure in it. And it was to be desired to make one wise. Making one wise is to be circumspect. Circumspect is defined as wary, unwilling to take risks, and cautious. It also means prudent, which is acting with or showing care and thought for the future. Now, we've got to be careful because we're liable to take Satan's view of this temptation and say, yeah, actually, what is wrong with our mental qualities wanting to be improved? Yeah, what is wrong with coveting to make one wise? What in the world is wrong with taking pleasure in making one wise? And in one way of thinking, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But when you are a parent, you do not want your child to learn about, let's say, sensuality. You do not want your 4-year-old learning about sensuality. You don't even want your 14-year-old to, honestly. And so when they do get this awareness, before you have deemed it a good time for them to get this awareness, you feel like something was stolen from you. You feel like it's been inappropriate. Whoever, in fact, took that innocence away, you want justice for it. And this is exactly what we can understand with Eve putting herself in this situation to see and want this fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. So in 1 John chapter 2, verse 16, it says, all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And that is exactly what we see right here at the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So one of the things I want to look at here, this is funny. So I started making these notes several months ago, probably January. It was probably January. And I got into my daughter's pregnancy, trying to help her through the end of her pregnancy. And then we got into tent revival. So as of this recording right now it's May. So I've not seen these notes since January. Okay, so when I sat down today, these 3 tabs were stuck on this paper. And I'm like, what in the world? And I read what the references are. The references are Luke 18:17, and this is where Jesus says to receive the kingdom as a child. And in Mark 10:15, Jesus said, receive it as a child. And I'm like, oh my word, I must have been studying the gospel. And so, I took them off and I stuck them on my little, another little place over here. And I just planned to stick them back in the notes when I was finished teaching. And it dawned on me why they're here. Y'all, God is so good. Jesus said that we can get back to this place of innocence. Oh, now I'm crying. Jesus said we can get back to this place where we can be like Eve before sin. Jesus said in John chapter 3, we can be born again of water and of the Spirit. In fact, that's the only way to see the kingdom and to enter the kingdom is to be born again. You cannot see the kingdom of God, and if you can't see it, you sure can't enter in. And so it's just so cool how, as adults, when we look at Eve and we see that, well, all she wanted from this tree was, she wanted to know things. She wanted to be careful of things. But see, what happens to us is when we grow up and we become wise, we become wary and unwilling to take risks. We become cautious. Well, you may ask, well, what's wrong with that? Well, when it comes to not jumping off a cliff, there's nothing wrong with it. But when it comes to having faith and trusting God like a child, our adultness, where we are circumspect, we are wary, we are unwilling to take risks, we are too cautious. And we need to be like a child in order to get rid of this caution that our lives, our experiences, the abuses, the betrayals, the knocks of life have given us. Just life itself causes us to act or show care and thought for the future. It's like, oh, I need to save every penny I have because I don't know what the economy is going to do. I don't know what's going to happen in hurricane season. I don't know what's going to happen with politics. I don't know. Well, the world has caused us to be unwilling to take risks and to be cautious. And in one sense, that's wonderful. We need wisdom. But when it comes to spiritual things, like the kingdom. And by the way, this was a spiritual thing that Eve was doing. Eating this fruit was not merely doing a physical thing. It was a spiritual act that her body participated in. And so the way we get back to that pre-Eve fall place is to be born again. And we need to have faith like a child. So let's be born again and again and again and again. All right, I'm really excited when we come back. It's going to have to be, I don't know if it'll be tonight after choir practice. It probably will, because I'll probably be wired from choir practice. If I'm wired from choir practice, I am absolutely going to come in here and I'm going to do this. If not now, then maybe in the morning during Monica's naps. But I want to talk about the curse, because I've learned something really, really, really cool. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.